Good morning, guys. In today's video, we're reading Matthew chapter 14 and 15. There's so much to unpack in this one. You've got John the Baptist getting beheaded. You've got Jesus feeding the 5,000, feeding the 4,000. You've got Jesus walking on water. You've got the Canaanite woman and her faith that she has in Jesus in this time. So there's so much to unpack. But if you like this type of video, please do leave a comment, subscribe, because it really does help the channel as we're starting out. And we'll see you on the next one. Take care. All right, let's get into it. So John the Baptist beheaded. At the time, Herod and the Tetrarch heard the reports about Jesus, and he said to his attendants, "This is John the Baptist. He has risen from the dead. That is why miraculous powers are at work in him." Now Herod had arrested John and bound him and put him in prison because of Herodias, his brother's Philip's wife. For John had been saying to him, "It is not lawful for you to have her." Herod wanted to kill John, but he was afraid of the people because they considered John a prophet. On Herod's birthday, the daughters of Herodias danced for the guest and pleased Herod so much that he promised with an oath to give her whatever she asked. Prompted by her mother, she said, "Give me here on a platter the head of John the Baptist," which is super sad. But man, at that time, people would just, it was just very, I guess, chaotic at that time, right? Especially murder was just seen everywhere. Murder, killing, violence. Everybody had seen a dead body, had seen a dead person, had seen unbelievable amount of murder. Like, it was so common and they were so numb to it, just being in that area of time. And so it says here, give me on a platter the head of John the Baptist, just here. The king was distressed, but because of his oaths and his dinner guest, he ordered that his request be granted, and he had John beheaded in prison. His head was brought in on a platter and given to the girl, who carried it to her mother. John's disciples came and took his body and buried it, and then they went and told Jesus. Jesus feeds the 5,000. So see how, just quickly, I know I've been saying this in each verse that we go through, but how quickly it's just gone from right there, they went and told Jesus, to Jesus feeds the 5,000. From that's one story, and then it slips straight into a new story, right? And I always get interested in like what has happened in between those moments, right? Those small little conversations that Jesus would have had, or that these apostles would have had in that time, before it came, whether it was 2, 3 days later. Now Jesus feeds the 5,000. Like, that's such interesting history that I guess we'll never get to properly uncover or hear. But let's carry on. Jesus feeds the 5,000. When Jesus heard what had happened, he withdrew by boat privately to a solitary place. Hearing of this, the crowds followed him on foot from the towns. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed their sick. As evening approached, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a remote place, and it's already getting late. Send the crowds away so that they can go to the villages, buy themselves some food." Jesus replied, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." "We have here only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish," they answered. "Bring them here to me," he said. And he directed the people to sit down on the grass, taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, and looking up to the heavens. He gave thanks and broke the loaves. Then he gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the people. They all ate and were satisfied, and the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate was about 5,000 men, besides women and children. I mean, that's just pause-worthy, right? Like, the fact that there was nothing and 5,000 people ate food. I don't even know how you fathom that, right? Like, that's written in, I think it's written in all of the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Bear in mind, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but that's a massive statement to have happen, right? Because there were so many people that would have seen that and would have seen what had happened there. It's unbelievable to see that sort of era of time. Jesus walks on water. Immediately, Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side, while he dismissed the crowd. After he had dismissed them, he went up on the mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night, he was there alone, and the boat was already a considerable distance from the land, buffeted by the waves because the wind was against it. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them walking on the lake. Here we go. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It's a ghost," they said. and cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, it is I, don't be afraid." "Lord, if it's you," Peter replied, "tell me to come to you on the water." "Come," he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and beginning to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me!" Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You of little faith," he said, "why do you doubt?" And when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly you are the Son of God." When they had crossed over, they landed at Gennesaret. Just touching on that real quickly. Would you hopped out of the water, right? Like the water's bashing. It's late at night. You're seeing this ghost figure walking on the water. You realize it's Jesus, and he says, come stand out on the water, right? The faith you have to even do that at that time. Would you have done it? Let me know if you would have hopped out there onto the water to do that. But we'll read from here. So truly you are the Son of God. When they had crossed over, they landed at Gennesaret. Correct me if I'm saying that wrong. And when the men of that place recognized Jesus, they sent word to all the surrounding country. People brought all their sick to him and begged him to let the sick just touch the edge of his cloak, and all who touched it were healed. Massive, huge piece, even just about the whole faith piece. That's like the woman that was bleeding for 12 years, that all she did was touch the corner of his cloak and he was healed because her faith in Jesus is what healed her. And same with um, the centurion, right? That said, "You don't even need to come to where I am. I have faith that you say the word and it will be done." And him having such strong faith that Jesus could do such a thing healed, his servant boy that he had. And so Matthew 15, that which defiles. Then some Pharisees and teachers of the law came to Jesus from Jerusalem and asked, "Why do your disciples break the tradition of the elders? They don't wash their hands before they eat." Jesus replied, "And why do you break the command of God for the sake of your tradition?" He's just dropping bars back to him, huh? For God said, "Honor your father and mother, and anyone who curses their father or mother is to be put to death." But you say that if anyone declares that what might have been used to help their father or mother is devoted to God, they are not to honor their father or mother with it. Thus you nullify the word of God for the sake of your tradition. You hypocrites! Isaiah was right when he prophesied about you. "These people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. They worship me in vain. Their teachings are merely human rules." And even just to touch quickly on that, like this is what I heard from my priest that I'd worked with talking about it, is that the Pharisees at that time became so caught up in tradition, rules, and regulations that it became more about which human can follow the rules the best and less about the principle behind the rules. And so Jesus is kind of saying in this piece, as I interpret, that he's going, or as Isaiah even said 700 years before, "These people honor me with their lips. They say all these things. They talk a big game. In front of people, they're saying and speaking all such things. But in their hearts, they're far away from me. They worship me in vain," right? Like in front of others, to get pleased by others, to be looked upon by others, to look upon by their peers as a certain figure. But yet they forget that the teachings are heavily in there. The teachings are merely human rules, and that they're forgetting the principles of like why they're doing such things. Very interesting piece to kind of go through. So Jesus called the crowd to him and said, "Listen and understand. What goes into someone's mouth does not defile them, but what comes out of their mouth, that is what defiles them." Then the disciples came to him and asked, "Do you know that the Pharisees were offended when they heard this?" He replied, "Every plant that my heavenly Father has not planted will be pulled up by the roots. Leave them, they are blind guides. If the blind lead the blind, both will fall into a pit." Peter said, "Explain the parable to us." "Are you still so dull?" Jesus asked them. "Don't you see that whatever enters the mouth goes into the stomach and then out of the body? But the things that come out of a person's mouth come from the heart, and these defile them. For out of the heart come evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false testimony, slander. These are what defile a person, but eating with unwashed hands does not defile them. Okay? Even on this piece, he's just talking heavily about, it seems like, right, that these guys are all on the outside. These Pharisees on the outside are amazing. The what's it called? The pinnacle of what a religious person should be. But then on the inside, when they're at home, when they're whispering and gossiping and spreading news and spreading things, these are the things, the evil thoughts that Satan is filling them. So he goes, it's not the unwashed hands, that you haven't washed your hands, that makes you unclean and defiles you, right? But it's all those little things that you do behind the closed doors when it's only you and God. And that's what he wanted to push on, because it became way too much about all those little things. Eat at this time, don't eat this, make sure you wash your hands, make sure you do this. And it became less about the principle behind those reasons. And that's what Jesus has kind of come to say. And then we've got the faith of the Canaanite woman. Leaving their place, Jesus withdrew to the region of Tyre and Sidon. A Canaanite woman from that vicinity came to him, crying out, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on me. Okay, my daughter is demon possessed and suffering terribly." Jesus did not answer a word. So his disciples came to him and urged him, "Send her away, for she keeps crying out after us." He answered, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel." The woman came and knelt before him. "Lord, help me," she said. He replied, "It is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to the dogs." "Yes, it is, Lord," she said. "Even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." Then Jesus said to her, "Woman, you have great faith. Your request is granted." And her daughter was healed at that moment. So massively, the first sort of point is that Jesus was sent first to save the Israelites, and then from there, the Gentiles. But it was always, I guess, prophesized that first it was Israel. And this is a Canaanite woman, so not really a part of their, I guess, not race. Was it race? Not really a part of their culture, right? The Israelites. And so she's come there, and in this sentence here, which is interesting to unpack. The woman came and knelt before him. "Lord, Lord, help me." He goes, "It is not right to take children's bread and toss it to the dogs." "Yes, it is, Lord," she said. "Even the dogs eat crumbs that fall from their master's table." She goes, "Look, Lord, just please." She goes, "Look, it doesn't matter. I am here. I'm on my knees. I need your help. I need your salvation. I need your love, right? I know that you can do this. I know that you can help and heal." And once again, it's another statement in the Bible: "Woman, you have great faith." Once again, it's Jesus touching on the person's faith that has done the healing in Jesus, the person's faith in God that has done the healing, not just the person doing the healing without that person having conviction and faith in themselves that that can be done. Right? Such a powerful point. Jesus feeds the 4,000. Jesus left there and went along the Sea of Galilee. We looked at the Sea of Galilee at about, I think it was chapter Matthew 9 or Matthew 10. Jesus left there and went along the Sea of Galilee. Then he went up to the mountainside and sat down. Great crowds came to him, bringing the lame, the blind, the crippled, the mute, and many others, and laid them at his feet, and he healed them. The people were amazed when they saw the mute speaking, the crippled made well, the lame walking, and the blind seeing, and they praised the God of Israel. Jesus called his disciples to him and said, "I have compassion for these people. They have already been with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. I do not want to send them away hungry, or they may collapse on the way." His disciples answered, "Where could we get enough bread in this remote place to feed such a crowd?" "How many loaves do you have?" Jesus asked. "7," they replied, "and a few small fish." He told the crowd to sit down on the ground. Then he took the 7 loaves and the fish, and when he had given thanks, he broke them and gave them to the disciples, and they in turn to the people. They all ate and were satisfied. After the disciples picked up 7 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate was 4,000 men, besides women and children. And after Jesus had sent the crowd away, he got into the boat and went to the vicinity of Magadan. Now, that's even just a crazy piece here, right? Because you've got it where it's saying, "I have compassion for these people." Jesus said, "I've got compassion for these people." And then the disciples say, "Where could we get enough bread in this remote place to feed such a crowd?" So either these two stories of the 5,000 that happened in Matthew 14 and the 4,000 in Matthew 15 were at completely different times, I don't really know, because surely, right, if you're the disciple, Jesus has just given 5,000 bread like last week or whatever that was, right? The disciples wouldn't need to say such a thing of like, well, how are we going to do this, right? Surely in their minds they're going, we just did this last week. Jesus has got it covered. Here, Jesus, here's our 5 loaves, here's our fish. Do that thing you do, boom, break it, and we've got baskets full, right? So I don't really know how it fits in, whether, yeah, like why they would have doubts still knowing that he's just done that recently, or if not. If you do know, let me know, because I'll be very interested to hear how that sounds. And then that's it. So the number of those who ate, the 4,000 men besides women and children. After Jesus had sent the crowd away, he got into the boat and went to the vicinity of Magadan. Wow. Okay. So look, that's it. That's the end of Matthew chapter 14 and 15. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think down below about this series that we are doing. I am enjoying going through the book. This is what I do every single day. Look, leave a comment, like the video so that it can share around the algorithm, as we are a new channel. And please do leave us a subscribe, and we will see you on the next one. Take care.